dog must have took a bullet for the kid. Then took the shooter's finger off. Anyone ever loved you that much?
Compromise is the antithesis to conflict. As such, it's also the solution. Success is dependent upon compromise. While you can be uncompromising and sometimes force your way, there are times where neither party will compromise and a stalemate occurs. It has become more apparent every day that time is one of our most valuable resources.
J'espère que le spectacle va vous plaire. Ok, oui.
Time is on my side. Yes, it is. Time is on my side. Yes, it is.
Stalemate tends to exact an expensive toll when time is a commodity. Sometimes a simple refusal on one side's part will drag things out long enough that the other party's intentions are simply rendered impossible. This has also become a common legal tactic.
Kathy.
Let's try it again.
Kathy!
Dave, you seem distraught.
We were supposed to meet in your office 15 minutes ago to talk about the McDermott case. You're stalling on this thing. Now, we either get it done, and I mean now, or no kidding, Kathy, I'm gonna hang your boy from a fucking yardarm.
Yardarm? Sherby, does the Navy still hang people from yardarms?
I don't think so.
Dave, Sherby doesn't think the Navy hangs people from yardarms anymore.
I'm gonna charge him with possession and being under the influence while on duty. You plead guilty, I'll recommend 30 days in the brig with loss of rank and pay.
It was oregano, Dave. It was $10 worth of oregano.
Yeah, well, your client thought it was marijuana.
My client's a moron. That's not against the law.
But Kathy, I got people to answer to just like you do. I'm gonna charge him.
With what, possession of a condiment?
Kathy.
Dave, I tried to help you out of this, but if you ask for jail time, I'm going to file a motion to dismiss.
You won't get it.
I will get it. And if the MTD is denied, I'll file a motion in limine seeking to obtain an evidentiary ruling in advance. And after that, I'm going to file against pretrial confinement. And you're going to spend the next 3 months going blind on paperwork because a signalman second class bought and smoked a dime bag of oregano. Let's go. Let's get to.
B misdemeanor, 20 days in the brig.
C misdemeanor, 15 days restricted duty.
I don't know why I'm agreeing to this.
You have wisdom beyond your years.
In relationships, be it personal, business, or otherwise, each involved must make some sort of compromise in order to maintain balance and harmony in that relationship. An intractable position only creates conflict. Maintained conflict breeds more conflict. More conflict breeds war. I myself am sitting on a precipice, watching just such events unfold in facets of my life, and the world in general. I'm forced with the decision to intercede or to see how things play out. Both choices carry risks and benefits. A simple heads up could put everything into perspective, but could also be misinterpreted as criticism and or a personal attack and create even more conflict. Alternatively, it could also redirect that conflict on myself, but that's an outcome I'm willing to accept because many times adversaries become allies when presented with a common foe. In my own soul-searching and self-examination, I have concluded that I tend to be more willing to place myself in the crosshairs and take the hit, when the benefits to others outweigh the cost to myself. My other option is to see how things play out, because sometimes things do actually work themselves out. I have watched many scenarios and kept my mouth shut, some that worked themselves out, others that ended disastrously, and as such have learned what to watch for. Some of the things I see these days have escalated as I've watched, and I fear that the affordable time for inaction is running out at an alarming rate. Ah yes, many of you are scoffing at the concept of me keeping my mouth shut, but that's only because you haven't known me long enough. One of the reasons I open my mouth so much, I ask so many questions, I offer so many suggestions, and invariably end up not only taking a double helping of heat for it, but also have developed a reputation for being a malcontent, is because I've watched so many situations go sour, or things fall apart, or have mistakes made because no one said anything. In one group I used to be involved in, I spent close to a decade building the habit of asking the hard questions, offering unconventional suggestions, shining a spotlight on the elephant in the room, and even asking little questions that 90% of the people there, sometimes even myself, already knew the answer to. I'd get in a heated debate with the leader of that group, with the outcome in terms of who is right or wrong being a completely moot point. But in the end, I, the leader, and everyone listening has a deeper understanding of the issue, thus enlightenment. And then they are thus more prepared to deal with the issue in a more effective manner. This particular person, I'll name neither the person nor the group, and I always speak afterwards. I apologize if necessary. I usually get thanked, and we almost always laugh about it. This is a dynamic we've built, and while outsiders often completely misinterpret it, it has become an effective tool. A tool that I've effectively employed with another group that I'm now a part of, and have been since its inception the better part of a decade ago. Yeah, I'm getting old. As a teacher and leader in many aspects of my life, I often have to be the asshole. Back when I ran a dojo, several nights a week I would take an oath, usually twice a night, that included the phrase, "I will be a champion, defender, and hero of others." I take my oaths very seriously. In the first group mentioned, at first I asked questions because I didn't understand. I was from a different walk of life than most of the members of this group, and often things that were every day for them would be alien to me, just as if I were trying to explain to them multiple combat dynamics or the effect of the Fresnel zone on radio signals of varying wavelengths. Since I'll hear a specific term or a complex, confusing, or simply unclear statement or announcement, and I'll see the blank looks of others screaming that they are listening to people speaking in Greek, yet are afraid to call attention to themselves and ask, then I'm the one to ask, and I'll take the bullet for it. I'm not afraid to be embarrassed. In other areas, one is often openly scorned, disrespected, and sometimes outright attacked for asking questions, especially too many of them. Fear is an old friend that I don't hang out with much anymore, but I can recognize him from a distance, and I can tell when he's sitting on someone's shoulder. With my lifestyle, it is an inflexible requirement that I be able to not only recognize fear, but also be able to resist, abate, and even have to induce it. The title of champion is assigned to a single individual who represents a greater number of people, usually in the form of combat. In ancient times, it was not uncommon for a city under siege to parley with the invading army, and for each side to select one individual to act as their champion and settle the entire conflict through a single uninterrupted one-on-one bout of personal combat between the two champions, and the fate of those that each represented resting upon their shoulders. In other forms, a champion was designated to lead the defense as the city's commander on the front lines. Today we hear the word champion and we equate it to winner.
Diana, fighting does not make you a hero.
But that's not the true meaning of a champion. A more accurate definition would be representative, or one who fights for others. A defender is similar. A defender steps up to shield those unable or unwilling to stand up for themselves, taking the assault, damage, and punishment upon themselves rather than letting harm come to those to whom they defend.
You four. The devil of Hell's Kitchen. The smart-ass detective.
We got a problem?
The righteous ex-con. My bad. And the kid with a glowing fist.
Yes, I want you to be.
The war for New York is here.
Yes, I know enemy.
So get your shit together.
A hero is one who speaks up, encourages, leads, and above all, inspires others. While a hero will often act as a champion or a defender, the distinction is that a hero will strive to inspire those that he or she represents to rise to be their own champion or defender, and hopefully in turn become a hero to not only others but to themselves as well. This in a nutshell, yeah, I know it's a pretty big show, is why I speak up. It's why I seem to invite verbal and emotional abuse. As a martial artist, I've had to condition myself against emotional abuse as well as physical. In relationships of many types, Ranging from personal to romantic to professional, I have been subjected to all sorts of emotional abuse, and I have been forced to carry the scars and learn how to deal with it. And I have along the way managed to learn countless tactics to redirect it back upon my assailant with minimal effort, much as in physical combat.
We have to use his own strength against him.
Strength? What's a strength?
His weakness.
His weakness is his strength?
Exactly. It's like the one-handed clap.
Are you really Zen?
I'm Zen-ish.
Also, there are times when a hero is needed, or a particular individual needs to become a hero, or had previously been a hero and had, for whatever reason, has laid down that mantle, whether knowingly or not, and must be pushed to pick it back up again and rally his or her followers to face an impending threat. Sometimes one must take on the role of a villain for a hero to rise, because just as there is no good without evil, there is no hero without a villain.
Then why do you want to kill me? I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you? Go back to ripping off mob dealers? No, you complete me. You're garbage. You kills for money. Don't talk like one of them. You're not. Even if you'd like to be. To them, you're just a freak. Like me. They need you right now. But when they don't, they'll cast you out. Like a leper. See, their morals, their code. It's a bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble. They're only as good as the world allows them to be. I'll show you. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other.
Oftentimes, the most hated of villains actually believe themselves to be the heroes. Yet, they're either fighting a misguided battle or simply perceived as a villain by those on the opposing side. That's when villain is not as an appropriate term as adversary. Other times, there are those that by becoming a villain are in truth great heroes because they're doing the right and just thing despite perception, ignorance, and adversity. This is tragic because a possible savior who sacrificed everything will be disgraced, degraded, insulted, and hated for as long as memory endures. It is far merciful to be an unsung hero where your deeds simply go unrecognized.
O Lord, raise me to thy right hand and count me among thy saints.
And I am reminded on this holy day of the sad story of Kitty Genovese. As you all may remember, long time ago, almost 30 years ago, this poor soul cried out for help time and time again, but no person answered her calls. Though many saw, no one so much as called the police. They all just watched as Kitty was being stabbed to death in broad daylight. They watched as her assailant walked away. Now, we must all fear evil men. But there is another kind of evil which we must fear most, and that is the indifference of good men.
I do believe the Messenians finally got the point.
Apathy, complacency, inaction, and even fear are the true enemies. As I said, I take my oath seriously. I will be a champion, defender, and hero to others, even if that means I will have to endure pain meant for them, even if I will be attacked and ridiculed, even if I will be hated by the very people I'm defending. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. Sure, I hope someone else will, But so does everyone else. Someone has to step up. If no one does, then they can deal with it with their own soul. But if I don't stand up when no one else will, then I have to deal with my soul, and I'm just not wired that way. It's not the honorable way. It's not about fear. It's not about courage. It's not about rewards, glory, or punishment. It's about doing what's right. So if you think me a villain, so be it. If you find me annoying, so be it. If you don't respect me, so be it. If you find me to be weak or scared, however, I warn you to look again. Disrespect me, attack me, cross me, or worse, try to get past me to those that I stand in front of at your own risk. I am not afraid to take what you can dish out. The real question you need to ask yourself is this: are you prepared to take what you can dish out? I have dedicated the largest part of my training, both mental and physical, not to attack, but to reflect.
The Buddha was asked if he ever felt anger. Of course, said the Buddha. The Buddha was asked if he ever felt the desire to strike another. Of course, said the Buddha. But if I'm connected to all things, said the Buddha, hurting another is hurting myself. And how does that better me?
Because it just does.
Is that a real gun?
Yes, it is.
Can I touch it?
No, you cannot.
He wants to be a policeman when he grows up.
You ever shoot anybody?
Violence against one is violence against all. Violence against all is violence against myself.
Yeah. But you ever shoot anybody?
Nobody. That didn't have it coming.
I have adopted and modified this philosophy to: I do not commit violence. If one chooses to commit violence upon me, then he is actually committing violence upon himself, and I'm merely the tool through which he uses to harm himself. Or in simpler terms, I'm rubber, you're glue. You know the rest. So, in summation, look around, look inward. Who and what will you be? Will you be sheep? Will you be victim? Will you be defended? Will you stand by as injustice reigns free? Will you allow your brother or sister to be struck down rather than act? Or worse, will you be the one to strike them down yourself? Or will you lash out only to choke on your own venom? Society has become dark. It's getting darker. There's a lot of villains out there. True villains, not just misguided or misunderstood heroes. If I stand in a room of 30 people, I usually see 2 or 3 villains, a couple of followers. The rest are the victims, the oppressed, or the apathetic. Maybe, just maybe, a defender will step up. Maybe a champion will be selected. And ever so rarely, a hero will stand up and do what is right, regardless of the cost. Will you be that hero? Can you? Or are you just another villain?
Receive us. We do not ask for your poor or your hungry. We do not want your tired and sick. It is your corrupt we claim. It is your evil that will be sought by us. With every breath, we shall hunt them down. Each day, we will spill their blood till it rains down from the skies. Do not kill. Do not rape. Do not steal. These are principles which every man of every faith can embrace. These are not polite suggestions. These are codes of behavior. And those of you that ignore them will pay the dearest cost. There are varying degrees of evil. We urge you lesser forms of filth, not to push the bounds and cross over into true corruption, into our domain. But if you do, one day you will look behind you and you will see we three. And on that day, you will reap it. And we will send you to whatever God you wish.
And shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord, for thee. Power hath descended forth from thy hand. May swiftly carry out thy command. So we shall flow river forth to thee, and teeming with souls shall it ever be. In nomine Patri, et Filii, Spiritus Sancti.